Patel, they have these liberal activist organizations that go out there and create fake conservative groups, like right now the Patriot Front, right? Some leftist is behind the Patriot Front. One day it'll be exposed. But there is no conservative political violence in the United States. None. Zero. Less than zero. It's all from the left. And anything that looks like conservative right-wing political violence are liberals in disguise. And do you all agree? I'm sure you agree with me on that. Back to the great Stephen Miller. That's right. Mm-hmm. It's worse. Yeah, I mean, yeah, look what's happening to them. They're under attack, physical attack all over the country. It started it didn't actually start in Minneapolis. It started in California, right? The Battle of LA when they were throwing the rocks and everything. If you're new to the program, welcome. My name is Brian Craig. This is where MAGA comes to talk. Make sure that you follow and subscribe on whatever platform you're listening on. And if you could all like the video, that would be very helpful. You know, when you like the video, you get the video recommended to people that have not yet found the channel. So please like the video, guys. That helps so much, more than I can really describe. Help other people find the program. Yeah, Stephen Miller, you know, I've been following Stephen Miller for years, and, you know, and with the second MAGA president, you know, he's the deputy chief of staff right now, right? Susie Wiles, chief of staff, he's the deputy. You know, the second MAGA president, which is, you know, J.D. Vance or Marco Rubio, he very well could find himself being the White House chief of staff, Stephen Miller, for the second MAGA president. He's so good, and he's young. So, and his wife is very smart too. His wife is on CNN from time to time, and she fillets these liberals on CNN. Stephen Miller's wife is very much like him, except she has hair. That's right. Yeah, and remember what Autopin Biden said? Antifa doesn't exist; it's an idea, right? They were trying to make it. It's like it's a myth. Antifa. It's like Kaiser Sose and Usual Suspects. Yep. Yeah, I got to tell you, this speech here, this speech of Stephen Miller's it's historic, isn't it? It is historic. When Stephen Miller's an old man, people are going to go back to that speech. He's eventually going to find his way in the Senate, in the House, a governor somewhere. He and his wife are Floridians. He could be a governor down the road. That may be too small for him, though. Who knows? He may be vice president or president one day. But this speech that I just shared with you from Stephen Miller is of someone talking about the current threat to this country. I think is probably the most important speech that I've heard about the current threat. Back in the Cold War era, there's multiple moments you can point to where people are talking about the threat to the country and everything else. But this is the most relevant that I've heard anyone speak and spot on about what we're dealing with from the American left. The American left today are not a legitimate political movement. They're not. The Democrat Party doesn't even have a platform that they're running on in this midterm election. That's not a joke. They have these communists from the Democrat Socialist of America that are running to bring down the Democrat Party right now. So there's a communist revolution going on through the Democrat Socialist of America. Where in the world can you point to where there was a communist takeover that was done peacefully? It's always violent. And then when they take over, the violence continues because then they start purging, executing people, oftentimes in public, with public show trials. When has there been a communist takeover revolution like the Democrat Socialist of America are doing today that was peaceful? I don't know of one. If there is, you're certainly welcome to share it with me. Now, I want to ask you guys a question here. These Canadian fires, which has become an annual event now, excuse me, it's really bad. And some of you that are listening and watching me right now may live somewhere where the smoke from these Canadian fires are overtaking your city. I was talking to a good friend of mine yesterday afternoon in Jersey, and he was telling me in New Jersey he's dealing with the smoke. And it's really bad. I've seen a lot of the news coverage about the smoke. The president's weighed in on it. This is an attack by Canada on the United States. There's no doubt about it because it's becoming an annual event. The president posted on True Social about it. The Canadian fires are happening for the same reason that they have these fires in California in the forest. I'm not talking about the one that the leftists are committing arson all the time on the homes, but the arsonists in California have such success, these leftist arsonists, because they don't take care of the forest properly either. They've got all that brush and everything all over the place, and they're doing that in Canada. So, it's kindling. They leave all this kindling around. And that is, that's what causes these fires. And now, is this the third time this has happened from Canada? And I'll ask you guys this, because no one could convince me that this is not the way it is. I believe that the Canadian Prime Minister, Carney, and all of the leftist Canadians who run around saying Canada's not for sale all the time, I think they're enjoying this. I think they're enjoying this smoke attack on the United States. Do you agree with that? Are the Canadian leftists and the Canadian government, are they enjoying this attack on the United States? And Carney, he says, it's global warming, which, it's not global warming. First of all, global warming doesn't exist. Climate change doesn't exist, But they're enjoying this. And I guess the way the winds blow, it blows south to the United States. And I've got news for you guys. I've got news for you. This is really bad. And those of you that are in some of these northern states, you know more than me. But I'm watching some of this footage out of New York, and I think about all those people that died, some of them years after the Islamic terrorist attack of 9/11, because they were either at ground zero or near ground zero, and they inhaled all the smoke and everything that came after the collapse of the World Trade Center. And breathing all this in is not good. People could be developing all kinds of health conditions and could develop years down the road conditions. And I'd also compare it to the Gulf War syndrome, right? American service personnel, many died. We didn't lose that many in the Gulf War itself in 1991 when it was going on. But over the years later, people developed this Gulf War syndrome from inhaling all the smoke and the chemicals from Saddam Hussein and all those evildoers over there. And you can't tell me that there are not people that are going to develop illnesses and may even die because of this Canadian smoke. And while it's happening, the Canadian liberals are sitting around getting excited about it. There's Dan Aykroyd and Tom Green. You guys like Tom Green? I've always liked Tom Green. And Dan Aykroyd. I always liked Dan Aykroyd. He wrote Ghostbusters, and he's a very funny guy. But he's Canadian. They're both Canadian. And I was watching an interview that was a recent interview that Tom Green did. He does these interviews from his farm, Tom Green, and I watch them sometimes. And he interviewed Dan Aykroyd, and he was talking to Dan Aykroyd about how he always talks about being Canadian, which is fine. It's fine. Everybody likes Dan Aykroyd. But then he starts talking about Canada's not for sale. And I'm like, Dan Aykroyd, you've been a great success, not because of Canada, but because of the United States for over 50 years, right? Started with Saturday Night Live and the Blues Brothers and all that. And here you are getting political after 50 years of success because of America? And you're crapping on us and getting involved in the politics and talking about how Canada's not for sale? And when I hear a Canadian say Canada's not for sale, I'm hearing the voice of a liberal. And this is the third year in a row this has come down from Canada. I think at this point, we need to take some serious action against Canada, because this yearly attack on the lungs of Americans this smoke isn't just in the New York, New Jersey area, and it's also in the Midwest. Okay, so the Midwest are dealing with this too. And if my wife and I were in one of these areas, we'd have to leave the state. My wife has a heart and lung illness, a pretty severe one. And we live in Florida, not here, thankfully. We would not be able to live there. My wife wouldn't be able to breathe. She would die. I'd have to bring her to Florida. We'd have to move if we lived up north. And if they're not going to take care of this, if the Canadians are going to poison Americans every year now with this, we got to do something about it. Whether it's a 100% embargo, or maybe going in and taking over their forest cleanup duties. Maybe we need to move in and seize the forest of Canada. What are your guys' thoughts on that? All right, if you're on hold, stand by. I'm going to take our first break of the program. My name is Brian Craig. This is where MAGA comes to talk. Our number is toll-free, 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. It's a toll-free call no matter where you are listening. 888-465-2631. We'll be right back. we often don't even recognize. Blending biblical truth with philosophy, neuroscience, psychology, and even modern artificial intelligence concepts, this fascinating and intriguing book challenges readers to examine the hidden assumptions that drive every decision they make. If you're looking for a book that will stretch your thinking, strengthen your faith, and leave you soothed with greater clarity and humility, Worldview, the model ruling your life from author before reading this. Discover the questions that could change the way you see everything. Worldview, the model running your life from author Eric Klein. Order your copy right now on Amazon. Are you retired and wondering what comes next? Your experience still has time for your passions, hobbies, knowledge, and skills could be the foundation of a profitable online business. At retirementprogram.org, you'll discover a practical internet marketing strategy designed to help everyday people just like you create additional income from what they already know. With retirementprogram.org, you'll learn how to build your very own website, even with no programming experience. Discover the basics of building a website now on Google. Learn to attract targeted visitors and turn that traffic into revenue. This free step-by-step guide explains how to choose a topic, create useful content, improve your search rankings, and explore proven ways to make money online. Retirementprogram.org isn't about getting rich overnight. It's about investing a little time each week to build something that can grow over time and provide an additional source of income during your retirement. Your dream career could be behind you. It could be just beginning. Visit retirementprogram.org today and get your free guide. And share the link on all your social media so your retired friends can join in too. That's retirementprogram.org. All right, welcome back, everyone. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Oh, hey, it's Joan from Tampa.
Oh, hey, Joan. Hold on one second. Oh, that's funny that you're on the line because I just played your Jupiter Joe commercial.
Oh, my goodness.
You can, catch it.
Right.
You can catch it later. You can rewind after we're done talking. You can hear it.
Oh, okay. Well, I think you heard JD what he did on a thing, and you know, why does Iran keep bombing their neighbors, and then they kept bombing civilian ships? I think Trump is going 100% the correct way.
Well, they're insane, right?
Yeah, you know, and they're just showing that they should never have a nuclear.
But you know what, though? When we defeated Germany and Japan, it was total war, right? Not only did we drop, think about this with Japan. We dropped a nuclear bomb that incinerated a city instantly, something the world had not seen. They still didn't surrender. We had to drop a second one a couple days later, right?
Yeah, we did Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
Yeah, they weren't done at the same time. They were done days apart. They didn't surrender after the first one. And really what Trump needs to do is blow up Karg Island, every oil well and refinery in Iran, every electrical plant, every water treatment plant, every cell phone tower location, everything. Blow up everything they have and put them back into the pre-industrial age.
Yeah, he has to do every bridge, too.
Every bridge, everything, anything, and cut off every power plant, all utilities have to be destroyed. Every oil well should be destroyed. Everything. Everything.
So get back into the prehistoric age, yep. And then maybe they'll come to their knees.
Maybe.
But you got to get them to their knees. And, you know, you don't want to nuke them because, you know, that would kill the people.
Well, Germany, I mean, look what we had to do with Germany. You know, Germany, we totally firebombed the German cities and civilian population. We were bombing them everywhere. The Russians were doing everything they did on the other side of Germany. And Germany only gave up when there really wasn't a Germany anymore. You know, I mean, it was crazy.
Anytime we went and we annihilated something. We went back in and we gave humanitarian aid
Yep.
and food.
And rebuilt them.
Helping them rebuild, and we did everything.
Mm-hmm.
You know that.
Yep. I'm not suggesting we do that with Iran, but they're never going to give up. They're nuts.
Well, I guess they're stupid people.
They're religious fanatics. They're like you know what you're dealing with? You're dealing with it's like David Koresh had a country. Remember David Koresh, Branch Davidians in Waco? That's kind of what you're dealing with. You're dealing with a cult of lunatics. That's it. I mean that's how I see it. They just have a lot of modern things.
Well, they're not going to have them anymore.
Mm-hmm. That's right. All right, Joan, take care. Good to hear from you. Yeah, don't forget, rewind. You can hear your Jupiter Joe Thomas commercial, okay? All right, take care. Yeah, by the way, if you'd like to call in, if you're watching live, obviously, you can do that. The number's toll-free. It's pinned in the live chat on YouTube, 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. Mark Wayne Mullen, he made a mistake the other day with that one order that President Trump overruled, but he's trying to prove himself again, which is fine with me. Everybody makes mistakes. We all make mistakes, right? Isn't that what Hannah Montana used to sing about? But our Homeland Security Secretary, Mark Wayne Mullen, he said that 3 million illegals have been deported. 3 million. That's more than 10% of the illegals that Autopen Biden brought in here during the mass invasion USA that was going on during the Autopen 4 years. And that doesn't include all the self-deportations. And so think about that. So things are going very, very well. And, this is just totally crazy when you look at how the left view every single thing that's going on in our great country, right? The United States is being invaded and colonized. I talk about this a lot, and I probably mention it on every show, that we're being colonized. There's no question about it. And President Trump, we've deported 3 million, not including the self-deportations, and people we don't even know about that left, because the people that got deported were their parents or somebody else in the family. So things are going very well. They're just not bragging about it as much. So we don't have these leftist attacks in cities like Minneapolis and such. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name's Derek. I'm calling from the Rocky Mountains.
All right, Derek in the Rocky Mountains. What's on your mind?
Well, I was just wondering how we were going to get the Constitution changed so that a president can have a third term.
Well, oh, you're talking about my Trump 2028 hat?
Yeah.
Well, do you know how long we've had term limits in this country? When did term limits begin for presidents?
Well, no, I'm not arguing with you. I'm saying
if you don't know well, I'm talking to you about it. Sorry that I'm not doing it in the way you want. But when did we begin presidential term limits? Do you remember? Do you know?
After FDR.
It was during Truman. So it was in the 50s,
Which
okay?
would be after FDR.
So, a lot's happened after FDR. I could ask you when the Berlin Wall fell after FDR. That'd be accurate.
Yeah.
Okay. When did man land on the moon?
Well, I want to get it changed.
Slow down, leftist. It's okay. All opinions are welcome here.
Yeah,
okay.
We're gonna get Obama back in office.
So that sounds good to me. Run him. So here's how it works.
Why don't you guys go ahead and do it?
Here's how
we'll get Obama back in office, and your pee your pants president can sit there looking all sad and lonely, just like he did after Obama had his Chicago thing and his musician.
Well, here's the
Constitution change. You more.
Hold on a second here. I want people that disagree with me to call in, but you have to take turns and have a discussion, man. Okay? See, the reality of the situation is, we did not have term limits for most of this country's existence. We've had them for about 75 years. The Constitution has, excuse me, who cares what you have a problem with? The Constitution has been changed and amended many, many times. Liberals,
Yes.
Liberals didn't think black people
And
should
Obama
be,
will
excuse
win.
me, Democrats didn't believe black people should be free, so we changed the Constitution. Democrats didn't believe that women should have the right to vote, so we changed the Constitution.
2028. Obama.
What are you, a parrot? Can you only repeat one thing over again? Let me tell you something. Run Obama, and his running mate can be Bill Clinton.
Obama 2028. Obama 2028.
Tell me Obama's greatest accomplishment as president.
Obama 2028.
Obama. Hold on a second. What was Barack Obama's greatest accomplishment as president?
Obama 2028. Obama 20.
See, that's what you're dealing with. See, that's what Stephen Miller was talking about. Now, those of you that are new to the program, all opinions are welcome. Okay? All opinions are welcome. You don't have to agree with me to call in. Okay? I take the calls screenless and unvetted. I don't use the call screener. When you call in, I just put you on hold. Okay? And then when you hear me say, what's your name? And where are you calling from? That's the first time I know who's on the air. I even turn off caller ID, so I do not know who is on hold. Okay? And I designed the show that way. It is done that way on purpose. I've done that for over 30 years. And I was talking on yesterday's show when we were discussing, yesterday morning, we were discussing this incredible speech that the president made, right, about everything that's been going on. And the liberals that called in, and were not even talking about the issue, right? They were like this guy, mindless. Obama 2028 over and over again. They were just saying, debunked, or that's not true over and over again. And I was talking on yesterday's show, my 35 plus years of taking live calls on the air like I'm doing now. Liberals have always been wrong, and there's always been a random lunatic liberal. But it seems like every liberal's a lunatic now, right? Liberals used to have ideas. They were the wrong ideas, right? Because they were ideas like a baby inside the womb should not be born, right? Doesn't have a right to live. Stupid ideas like that. But at least they had ideas and they had issues, and you could have conversations. Now they've all become a mob. Now, I watched this incredible interview with Bobby Kennedy Jr., and I want to play some of it for you right now. And, Bobby Kennedy Jr., I remember when he came out at the Trump rally to endorse President Trump. Do you remember this? And President Trump introduced him, and the crowd stood up and gave him a standing ovation, and Bobby Kennedy Jr. was standing over there, and that was just, it was all out of respect, right? It was out of respect. And it was a big wake-up call for Bobby Kennedy because he had begun to see what happened. And do you know what turned Bobby Kennedy into a Trump supporter, into MAGA? Do you know what it did? You know what did it? When the Never-Trumpers shot the president in Butler, Pennsylvania, because of his experience with his father and his uncle, he knew right then and there was a big wake-up to Bobby Kennedy. And when the Never-Trumpers shot the president in Butler, Bobby Kennedy, he just woke up out of the matrix and was immediately red-pilled and understood what the left were all about. And he gave this really interesting, he made some very interesting comments in this interview. Listen to this. This is from Fly Zone USA, and they had this interview with him. Listen. Well, you know what happens to Mark Ruffalo when he gets angry, right? No, he doesn't turn into the Incredible Hulk. He turns into basically Antifa. He's a real psycho, Mark Ruffalo, isn't he? Amazing. Amazing. I'd love to have that map. That map is priceless, isn't it? Wouldn't you? If I were Bobby Kennedy, I would have tried to have taken that map, wouldn't you? Absolutely. Yeah, he does. And when I tell you that Bobby Kennedy was immediately red pilled when the Never Trumpers shot President Trump in Butler, Pennsylvania. I mean, he's talked about this because if you've heard him talk about the assassination of his father and his uncle, he, of course, this is a big part of his life. It's changed his life. He knows everything about those assassinations, and he said both of them were killed by us. His father, Bobby Kennedy, says he was shot by his own bodyguard, not Sirhan, who was a CIA guy. And the military-industrial complex in the deep state were behind the assassination of his uncle. He did 2 interviews with Megyn Kelly a few years ago, maybe 3 years ago now. It might have been when he was running for president. One of them, he talked about both. The first one he talked about President Kennedy, and in the second one he talked about his father. And they are amazing interviews. Megyn Kelly's got a lot of problems, but those interviews, they're great, not because of her, because of Bobby Kennedy. And Bobby Kennedy, he knows what's going on here. And he's so right. Most people, like Mark Ruffalo in that don't like President Trump, if they give you reasons as to why they hate him, they're usually, it's myths, things that aren't actually true. All right, let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Okay, there's another liberal who chickened out. That's okay. That's okay. If you would like to call in, the number is pinned in the live chat, 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. It's a toll-free call no matter where you are tuned in from. And don't forget, the Brian Craig Show podcast is available wherever you get podcasts. And whatever podcast platform you listen to, check me out there. Just search for The Brian Craig Show, and I'll pop up. If you want to catch the show live in video form where you hear me and see me in video and hear me take the live calls live, and you want to even call in yourself, that's on YouTube. Go to YouTube and search The Brian Craig Show on YouTube, and I'll come right up. So the president's speech the other night, where he released all this classified information that he declassified, he really did that not to try to convince the media or Democrats about anything involving any election. What he was doing was putting pressure on Republicans that are opposing it. And really, opposing the Save America Act. I'm not upset at the Democrats over the Save America Act. I'm pissed off at John Thune. John Thune is the man who stopped the Save America Act from being passed. And I was very disturbed by what happened yesterday. Now yesterday, Fox and Friends, their entire 3-hour show did not reference President Trump's speech the night before. Did you know that? I read a story about that in Mediaite. I couldn't believe it. What's that all about? Why would they not do that? But the Save America Act, which requires proof of citizenship to register to vote and requires government-issued photo ID to vote, not only is this the most important legislation that President Trump has proposed, it really is. It's bipartisan and one of the most popular pieces of legislation. I pulled this up because I wanted you to see this that may not have seen this in the past because they want to suppress this. CNN shared a poll that was done by the Pew Research Center, which Pew is the liberals' favorite poll, and they did a poll on requiring photo ID to vote. Listen. Look at these numbers, right? Let me move it so I'm out of the way here. Look at this. 76% of African Americans are in support of the Save America Act. Look at that. When voter ID was first being discussed as a serious thing was during Obama's first term, and that number was the opposite. It was like 20 something percent of blacks supported it, and 76, 75% were against it, maybe even more. And now look, 76% of blacks are in favor of it. Over 80% of Hispanics, and of course whites over 80% too. Now somebody asked, why show CNN? Okay, that's a good question. M. Todd in the live chat, who's a member to the channel, he said, why show CNN? And I'll tell you exactly why. If I show this poll from Breitbart or Fox or Newsmax, anything that's viewed as conservative, the liberals won't hear it. Oh, that's Newsmax, that's Fox, that's Breitbart, that's the Gateway Pundit. It's best when possible to make your case through the liberals, because they can't tune out the information because of the source. And CNN, which is the deep state, they didn't show the president's speech the other night, and they are the liberal news source of record. It used to be the New York Times, Washington Post. The liberal news source of record is CNN. So when you have the liberal news source of record making the case for what President Trump wants to do, what Republicans want to do, what MAGA wants to do on this important legislation, the SAVE Act, it's more effective. So M. Todd, for you in the live chat, that's why I showed on. I could pull up this story in the Gateway Pundit or somewhere, but they would just tune it out. Now they got to actually, instead of tuning it out, they got to deal with it. It doesn't mean they're going to accept it and say, oh, okay, let's switch. But it takes a lot away. It's just, that's what you got to do. Now, those of you that are new, make sure that you subscribe, guys, and welcome to the channel. And everyone else, please do me the favor of liking the video. When you like the video, it gets the video recommended to people that have not yet found the channel. So please like the video. And I want to take a moment to talk about Jamie LeeZep over at Swift Tax. Jamie LeeZep is absolutely amazing. First off, he can help you with your taxes no matter where you are in the United States. He's located here in South Florida where I live, but no matter where you are in the United States, Jamie LeeZep can help you with your taxes, okay? Whether it's your individual taxes or your business taxes for your company. He can also help you guys in other states that have state income taxes. He can help you with your state income tax as well. But if you miss the tax filing deadline on April 15th, call Jamie LeeZep. Don't worry, he'll take care of it for you. If you haven't filed your taxes in years, call Jamie LeeZep. He's got a direct line to the IRS. He'll take care of it for you, okay? Even if you haven't filed in years. If you owe money to the IRS and you're fearful of that certified letter in the mail that's going to garnish everything that you make, call Jamie LeeZep at Swift Tax. He'll help you. If you owe money to the IRS and you've already made payment arrangements with the IRS, give Jamie LeeZep a call. He'll take care of that for you, okay? He'll maybe negotiate a better deal. We have one listener in the audience who the IRS, he owed money to the IRS in back taxes. He was making payments. They went to Jamie LeeZep. Jamie LeeZep looked at their back taxes and found out that not only did he not owe money to the IRS, that the IRS owed him money. And you know what? He got him that return. So call Jamie LeeZep. This number rings directly to Jamie LeeZep, so you can call or text 954-773-1587. 954-773-1587. For Jamie LeeZep, 954-773-1587. That's for Jamie LeeZep at Swift Tax. We'll be right back.
What if just 3 minutes a day could deepen your faith and strengthen your walk with Christ? You can begin to do just that with the new book from author Eric Klein, illustrated 3-minute devotional, Jesus in Old Testament Prophecies and New Testament Fulfillments, available on Amazon. Each daily devotional connects powerful Old Testament messianic prophecies with their New Testament fulfillment, followed by a meaningful reflection, a simple prayer, and beautiful illustrations for bringing God's word to life. Whether it's first thing in the morning, during your lunch break, or before bedtime, you'll find more encouragement, biblical insights, and a deeper understanding of God's promises. Just 3 minutes a day. Plus, you'll receive an incredible bonus, an invaluable resource for every serious feelings of the Bible. Start your daily journey through Scripture right now and order your copy of Illustrated 3-Minute Devotional, Jesus Promises, New Testament Fulfillments, author Eric Klein, on Amazon and Kindle, paperback, hardcover, audiobook, and free with Kindle Unlimited. What if you could have a professional website online in just 60 seconds for less than $1? You can with forless.ai. That's FOR less.ai. Forless.ai is the fastest and easiest way to build a beautiful website using the power of artificial intelligence. With forless.ai, there's no coding, no design work, and no complicated software. Simply go to forless.ai. Describe your business or idea in plain English, and forless.ai automatically generates a website in seconds. Whether you're starting a small business, promoting your services, watching a side hustle, or building your personal brand, forless.ai gets you online quickly, affordably, and professionally. Spend less time building and more time growing your business. Build your website in just 60 seconds for less than $1. Visit forless.ai right now. That's FORless.ai. Forless.ai. Less time, less effort, more results. Forless.ai. Have you ever felt like you're just going through the motions? Work hard, feel stuck, exhausted, or disconnected from the life you really want? It's time to stop surviving and start living. And you can do just that with the book from author Janice. Stop dragging, start living, reclaim your purpose and power. Available on Amazon. This inspiring and practical guide will help you break free from the subject and discover your purpose and build the confidence to must-read and life-changing book. Learn how to reconnect with your dreams, overcome negativity, build resilience, set healthy boundaries, and align your actions with your goals so you can finally move forward with clarity and purpose. Whether you're a student, entrepreneur, professional, or simply someone ready for a fresh start, this empowering book provides real-world actionable strategies to help you stop living by other people's expectations and start becoming the person you are meant to be. Your purpose is waiting. The night is still ahead of you. Stop dragging. Start living. Reclaim your purpose and power. From author Jane Morales Moras is available right now on Amazon in Kindle, paperback, and hardcover. Start your own transformation right now and order your copy of Stop Dragging. Start Living. Reclaim Your Purpose and Power on Amazon.
All right, welcome back, everyone. Someone in the live chat I saw when we went to break, someone in the live chat on YouTube because I was talking earlier in the program about the Canadian fires. This is the third year this has happened, and I was talking about how this is an attack on the United States happening out of the negligence of Canada, right? They don't clean up their forests, so they got all this kindling everywhere. And at this point, I think that the government is enjoying it in Canada, as are the Liberals in Canada, because Americans are literally choking right now if they go outside of their house. And I believe it's an attack. And even if they wanted to fix the problem, Canada, I don't think they would, because they want to screw over the United States because they're pissed off at Trump. And I was talking about how maybe we should go in and take over their forest and clean them up for them. Send in the Army, the Marines, whoever, the Army Corps of Engineers. It's not a bad idea. But somebody in the live chat said, well, wait a minute, you guys in Florida have these fires in the Everglades and there's smoke from that. That's different, okay? In Florida, we have fires in the Everglades during the summers, okay? Do you know why we have fires? It has nothing to do with liberal or conservative or any individual's negligence. In the Florida Everglades, there's nothing in the Everglades, okay? There's a couple of roads that cross the Everglades, and along those roads, there are some things, a couple of tourist traps, alligator Alcatraz, a small little town here or there. The Florida Everglades is an uninhabited swamp that's filled with nothing but gators, Florida bobcats, pythons, sawgrass that'll cut you up. There's nothing out there. It's a wasteland, and it's filled with oil, by the way, under the ground, huge amounts of oil. So why are there fires out there? Well, they're during the summer or the dry times of the years when there's drought, and they happen by lightning strikes. And the lightning strikes out there sometimes during a drought period, if it hits in an area where there's not a lot of water and muck, right, and the sawgrass is dried, it starts a fire, and then there's fires in the Everglades. It's done by lightning strikes. There's nothing you can do as a person, as a country, as a governor, as any, to stop lightning from hitting in the Everglades and finding some dry spot out there. It's not because of negligence. And we've had these fires before I was alive in Florida, and we have them. And mostly how it works, when you go out, when there's a big fire in the Everglades, it's more that you smell it than it actually chokes you out. Depending on where you are, if you're at Alligator Alcatraz, you might choke a little bit on it. But in the residential areas, you don't have the smoke problem, okay, that you would have like we're having from this attack from Canada. Big difference, okay? But, I do watch what you guys say, your comments and everything in the chats and in the comments. I do look at. So CNN and the networks didn't carry the president's speech the other night. And Brian Stelter, who I don't know why they fired him from CNN. I don't know why they brought this slob back. But he's giving some explanations as to why they didn't carry the Trump speech. Listen to this. Now this is complete BS. So they have this, of course, CNN is deep state. Some of the media are Chinese controlled, but CNN is the deep state. CNN is the CIA. That's the way it is, okay? I've talked about that a lot, so I'm not going to get into that right now. But the CNN is CIA. They're the CIA. There's no doubt about it. But they have this line that they've been running with on CNN and a few of the other liberal idiots. Well, we had to evaluate these classified documents to determine whether they were legit and if they should be shared and if there was a security threat. A week ago, the New York Times and then the rest of the liberal media, including CBS and ABC and CNN, the New York Times leaked classified information about the new Air Force One, which could be deadly because it was information that said, and I don't necessarily think it's true, but maybe it is, that the new Air Force One didn't have defense mechanisms like the old Air Force One and was vulnerable to Iranian attack. CNN and all these news outlets, they ran that classified information. They didn't have to stop and review it and fact check it. They just ran it, probably because they wanted Air Force One shot down by Iran. They hate that Qatari gift to America. It drives them nuts, right? But I have never heard them say, they get classified information, they run with it instantly. Mm-hmm. Lies, fantasies. Yeah. See, isn't this crazy? This is totally insane, their excuse. And they make it worse when they try to explain it away, right? And everybody knows what they're doing, and everybody knows they hate President Trump. You know, that's just the way it is, and they're never going to get over it, and they're never going to move on from it, and they're going to continue to do this. Now, I wanted to share this. This is crazy to me. Let me pull this up. Now, you've seen these stories of the Chinese out in the deserts in China. They have these very detailed mock-ups of U.S. naval vessels, right? And a lot of people talk, well, what's this about? It's obviously about something negative involving our Navy. They have some plans. And what I think is going on here is I think they're training terrorists. I think that China is training Islamic terrorists, or at least they plan on training Islamic terrorists. You know, I've been watching people talk about this as these photos leaked out. And notice how a lot of the liberals, like Margaret Brennan over on CBS, they didn't carry the Trump speech, right? And they said, oh, China's not a threat, and he's making these allegations against China. Well, and then 2 days later, they got this story. And I've been watching some of the analysis of this, and some of it is saying, in the news, they're saying, oh, this is about Taiwan. Now, if this was about Taiwan, they wouldn't have mock-ups in the desert, right? The mock-ups in the desert are about boarding parties doing things to ships, boarding parties. If this was naval training for the Chinese Navy to defend Taiwan against American naval defense of it, if they moved on Taiwan, they would have the mock-ups in the water, in the ocean, and they would do exercises that way. Some are saying they want to have mock-ups so that the Chinese sailors can recognize U.S. vessels. They don't need to build them in the desert to do this. And remember, China is very tight with Iran, and they need Iran. They want Iran because they got the oil. And the USS Cole was attacked, you know, by Al-Qaeda. Remember that when Bill Clinton was president. So, no, I think that the Iranians are training Islamic terrorists. Now, if you'd like to support my program, become a Patreon supporter. And, you know, when you become a Patreon supporter, you get access to a lot of exclusive things. And there's a link to my Patreon page in the description of the episode on whatever platform you're listening on. And each day, I do Patreon-only live streams that are on the Patreon platform, and you have to be a paying Patreon supporter to have access to that. There's also a lot of exclusive things as well, commercial-free editions of all my podcast episodes. And my wife and I both post things all the time to Patreon. We post nowhere else. But the Patreon-only live stream, where the format is much like on YouTube with a live chat, it's a troll-free zone. I talk about things that I cannot talk about here or anywhere else. Incredible amounts of detail. And those of you that are Patreon supporters now, you know exactly what I mean. I talk about things that I cannot talk about here or anywhere else. I talk about in incredible detail. Something happened a couple days ago, live when I was on the air, with somebody in this audience that you guys watching didn't notice, but something happened. I did a Patreon-only live stream about it and gave all the details. So there's a link in the description. Now, when you click the link, there's an option to become a free Patreon supporter. If you do that, you don't have access to any of the content, none. You don't even see that it's there. You have to be a paying Patreon supporter, which starts at just $5 a month. And when you become a paying Patreon supporter, not only do you get access to all the upcoming live streams and all the upcoming content, you get access to my entire back catalog on Patreon, which goes back years and years. So become a Patreon supporter. And if you become a top Patreon supporter, you get a live on-air thank you shout out on every episode. So the names you'll hear now are my top Patreon supporters. I want to thank SFjr, Christine, Chuck, Pamela, Nick, Wesley, Doris, Heather, David, Maria in Texas, Alice, LeeZep, Shawna, George, Brandon, John, Frank, Dale, Tina, David, Laura, Rob, Wes, Sue, Janice, Teresa, Irene, Rick, Michael, and Robert R. These are my top Patreon supporters. Thank you all. Again, the link to my Patreon page is in the description. All right, so Martha McCallum who she's had some of the best cosmetic work I've seen. For a few years, Martha McCallum, she's in her 60s. She's like 63, 65. Look at her. Does she look like a 65-year-old woman? No, not at all. But for a few years, she was having a lot of neck problems because she had all this work done and everything else, but her neck looked like an 80-year-old lady, and she tried everything. She was wearing scarves. She was doing all kinds of stuff. And she finally got a full facelift, which includes the neck. And whoever did her facelift did a really good job because she looks great. But anyway, she's interviewing this top guy with the Democrat Socialist of America in New York, and they're talking about everything involving the Democrat Socialist Communist in New York, including the collective grocery stores and everything.
Your family came here from Peru, really in the middle of the heat of the Shining Path. They were Maoist, communist guerrillas in Peru. So why did your family come to America?
And I will tell you, Peru is one of those S-holes President Trump talks about. I know that because I've been there. And the entire time I was in Peru, I was scared out of my mind. I was terrified. It is a scary, scary place. And it's really sad how third world it is.
Really in the middle of the heat of the Shining Path. They were Maoist, communist guerrillas in Peru. So why did your family come to America?
Now Martha McCallum, she did a great job here because she points out that his family fled communism. So what she was really saying is, your family fled Peru because communism, and now you're trying to bring communism here. Oh my goodness. First off, there's no American imperialism in Peru. You could argue in Venezuela maybe a little bit now because we liberated it, but we haven't sent the army there to occupy it, so there's not even imperialism there, right? We just removed the dictator and his crazy wife. But in capitalism, are you kidding me? There's no Yankee imperialism in South America. That's another fiction. She's good, isn't she? So wait a minute. If you're against American imperialism, why do you come to the imperialist country? That's what your family was fleeing? Oh, she's great. By the way, someone mentioned Machu Picchu. If you go to Peru, which I do not recommend doing, it's not safe. Machu Picchu is a tourist trap. I went to the Nazca Lines, which was insane, and what an adventure that was. Oh my goodness. But the Nazca Lines in the desert, if you go to Peru, you want to see that. Everyone goes to Machu Picchu. Not many people go see the Nazca Lines. This is great. See, what this really shows with this weirdo who's the co-chair of the New York City Democrat Socialist Commies of America, these are children who think like children. And when they're sitting around I'm drinking Starbucks, when they're sitting around the Starbucks or out in front of Columbia University with a bunch of other kids, it all makes sense. But you talk with a grown-up like Martha McCallum and you look like an idiot because what you're saying is so juvenile and stupid. A democratic route, yeah, to destroy the country. The Democrat Socialist Commies of America just released their platform. They want to abolish the presidency and the Senate. So that's an overthrow of the American system of government they're advocating for. And the Senate is equal because every state has 2 senators. So the smallest state, which is Rhode Island is smaller than the county I live in. They have the same representation as California or New York, as Florida in the Senate. It's as equal as it gets. By the way, both of those are Republicans, right? This commie is praising Republicans freed the slaves and gave women the vote. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you're gonna take, look at this guy. You're gonna take advice from a guy with a ponytail from another country? I don't think so. And I find it interesting that he says 2 things that Republicans did, right? Freed the slaves, passed the constitutional amendment mandating they were free and citizens, and 2, giving women the vote. Those were Republicans. Woodrow Wilson, the Democrat president, and the Democrat Party were opposed to women getting the vote. And the Republicans did that too. The suffragettes, almost every single one of them was a Republican. Almost every single one of them. And she did. I think Martha McCallum did really good there with that. Now, Mike Lindell got the endorsement of President Trump the other day. He's running for governor in Minnesota. He's doing incredibly well. And there's no better way to support Mike Lindell's run for governor and at the same time my program, my podcast, my YouTube channel, and radio show by using my promo code Kane at checkout, Kane at mypillow.com, okay? And Mike Lindell's been a sponsor and supporter of everything I do for many, many years. And make sure you go and use the promo code Kane, Kane, at checkout at mypillow.com so that Mike Lindell knows that his money is well spent on my content, okay? And, I have all these MyPillow products. I have bought all of them. I have all the different MyPillows, the MyPillow mattress topper, the MyPillow 100% Giza cotton dream sheets, the MyPillow towels. I've got it all, the MyPillow slippers, the MyPillow bathrobes. I even have the neck pillow for when you travel. I've got everything. And everything Mike Lindell makes is of incredibly high quality. Now, right here, at this time of year, it's the summertime. No matter where you are in America, it's pretty hot, right? Well, the MyPillow 100% Giza cotton dream sheets, which are less than $30 right now with my promo code Kane, they're made with 100% Giza cotton, which is the finest cotton in the world, and that has temperature regulating properties to it. So in these hot summer months, with my 100% Giza cotton dream sheets from MyPillow, I am cool and all night long, right? It's like having air conditioning in my bed. And during the summertime, while it keeps me cool all night long, these MyPillow Giza cotton dream sheets, during the winter, they keep me warm and toasty. They're unbelievable, and they're less than $30. And they're the finest sheets you've ever used in your life. And what's really amazing about them on top of that is that the fitted sheet at the bottom, and I've had the sheets for years since they were first released, and I can't tell the difference between the newest ones and the first set we got years ago because they last and last and last because everything Mike Lindell makes is such high quality. But Mike Lindell's fitted sheet with the Giza Dream Sheets fits perfectly on all 4 corners without effort. And you know what it's like when you make a bed. That fitted sheet with other sheets is impossible. even brand new, certainly after you wash and dry them, once even, you can't get the fitted sheet on. You get the first corner on fine, the second one a little bit. The third corner, you get maybe a quarter of the way over the corner. And the fourth corner, if you get it just over the lip, you're happy. And you have to use all your force to do it. With Mike Lindell's 100% Giza Cotton Dream Sheets, all four corners go on without effort of that fitted sheet with 2 fingers and a thumb. Boom, 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 boom. It's amazing. So go to mypillow.com. Use my promo code KANE at checkout, K-A-N-E. You can also order by phone, 800-716-4879. 800-716-4879. Promo code KANE, K-A-N-E. We'll be right back.
Every day brings new pressures, new uncertainties, and new reasons to worry. But what if peace isn't found by controlling every situation? What if it's found by learning to trust God more deeply? Author LeeZep offers a practical Bible-centered guide for anyone struggling with anxiety, fear, or the weight of life's uncertainty. A scripture for God. Available on Amazon, filled with encouraging scripture, simple prayers, journaling prompts, as well as practical faith-building exercises. This is a book that can turn you whenever life feels overwhelming, whether you're facing difficult situations, and challenges, or simply longing for a calmer heart. Trust points you back to the unchanging promises of God and reminds you that His peace is greater than your circumstances. If you're ready to replace worry with confidence and fear with faith, order your copy of Trust, a scripture-forward guide to peace from author LeeZep on Amazon. Your journey towards lasting peace right now.
All right, welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian. Thanks for tuning in. Remember, the Brian Craig Show podcast is available wherever you get podcasts. If you're watching on YouTube, please like the video, guys. When you like the video, it gets the video recommended to people that have not yet found the channel, okay? And that helps a lot. So please like the video if you've not already done that. And if you're listening on one of the audio podcast platforms, please subscribe or follow. That has the same effect. It gets the podcast recommended to people that have not yet found the program. I was talking earlier, Mark Wayne Mullins says we have deported 3 million illegals in Trump's second term, which is greater than 10% of the illegals that Autopin Biden brought in. And that doesn't include all the people that have self-deported. So that's pretty good, right? We're doing a very good job. And what the Democrats were hoping to do was change the electorate. They've been colonizing and populating parts of the country to influence the Electoral College and House seats. Well, there hasn't been any legal crossing in over a year, and they're in big trouble on the left. And we've got a census coming up. Here's CNN, and they're talking about the next census, and it doesn't look good for you Democrats out there. This is great. This is so good, isn't it? Okay, so this is amazing. And for those that don't know, okay, obviously the population determines House representation. So every 10 years when there's a census, some states lose and some states gain House members. The Electoral College, the way that works is a state has the same number of Electoral College votes as it has representation in the House. So if your state has 25 members of the House, you have 25 Electoral College votes. If your state has 5 House members, you get 5 Electoral College votes. Okay, so now that this is a fascinating number because I think it's even better than this. I'll tell you why in a moment. So what CNN is telling us here in this panic, that the 270 Electoral College votes to win the presidency, Republicans will only need 263 to win. And you know what this isn't including, by the way, for the House? It's not including the redistricting that we just did, and also the Supreme Court ruling against these racially segregated districts that we've ended. So we're going to win the midterms. We're going to win them big. But when the next census comes around, the Electoral College balance has shifted so much in the favor of the United States, it's not even funny. I mean, when I say the United States, I mean the Republican Party, because we are the Make America Great Again party, and the Democrats are opposed to making America great again. So we are the Americans. They are not. I mean, can you be a pro-American a pro-American party if you are against making America great again? But I'll tell you this: the Democrats have a future, because we've been waiting. Who's going to be the Democrat candidate that comes up? Right? They don't have any Bill Clintons. They don't have any great orators. They're in big trouble, the Democrat Party. The top people in the Democrat Party, like Gavin Newsom, have been discredited. So who are they going to have? Well, it looks like the Democrats may have found the candidate that's going to turn their party around and make them winners and be the leader of the Democrats nationally, because they're so articulate and charismatic. And you have to go no further than Maine in the aftermath of Graham Plattner. Here's the future of the Democrat Party. Ashley Webb. That's right. The future of the Democrat Party. Yeah, there you go. So I don't know. I'm getting a little worried. I really am. Do the Democrats, are they onto something here? I mean, Ashley Webb, I don't know. How are we going to run against this? By the way, if you'd like to call in, the number's toll free and pinned in the live chat if you're watching live. 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. All opinions are welcome. If you disagree, you're welcome to call. But I don't know. How are we going to go up against such an articulate, attractive candidate as Ashley Webb in Maine? Oh. Yeah, we're in big trouble. We are in big trouble, guys. And what's crazy is Ashley Webb is favorited to win. This was a debate that they had among all the wannabes that want to take over the Senate seat the Senate run vacated by the Nazi Graham Plattner in Maine. But I talk a lot about how what's happening in this country. We're being colonized. We're being colonized by different groups. President Trump has stopped the illegal colonization from the southern border. But Obama moved, we don't know how many millions of Muslims into this country. And I saw this video yesterday, and it's very disturbing to watch. So viewer discretion is advised. This is a Home Depot in Michigan. That's right, a Home Depot in Michigan. And the signs in the store are bilingual. Watch this. So look at this guy, he's filming it. The signs are bilingual. They're in English and in Arabic. So here, this is the appliances sign, and underneath it, there's some markings there, which I guess that's how you write appliances in Arabic. Wow. It's crazy. Look, there's bath section in Arabic, plumbing, power tools, all in Arabic and English. But now it's not just this person, they did a little research, it's not just Home Depot. And here's a woman, it looks like a Home Depot in Tehran. She's got her whole face covered. Yeah, it is, and it's really scary to me. If I lived in this, if this was happening at my Home Depot, I'd be out of there. And think about it. If I remember when I went on the air the day after 9/11, 9/12. That was a scary time, guys. I mean, I just got goosebumps thinking about it. And if I would have gone on the air on September 12th and told you guys that in 2026, if I said this, if you go to in 2026 in the future, it's September 12th, 2001. In the future, in 2026, you're going to go to Home Depots in Michigan, and the signs are going to be bilingual in English and Arabic. Oh, and by the way, we're going to have a practicing Muslim mayor of New York City. What would you all have thought if I said that on September 12th? You would have thought I was nuts. You know what? And it is nuts. And it's happened. And you know why it's happened? One person is behind all of it. Barack Obama. Barack Obama did this. And it's frightening to me. Now, some people may say, well, wait a minute. There's a lot of places that have bilingual signs in English and Spanish. Yes, and I'm in Florida, and you do see that, or you go vote a key. Spanish speakers are still part of Western civilization, right? It's part of they're of European descent, and they're part of Western civilization. Islam is not a part of Western civilization. It's another civilization, and they're like the Borg. They're trying to assimilate us into them. And I'll tell you, in another 25 years, you go to Michigan, the signs likely will be bilingual in reverse. The Arabic will be on top, and the English will be underneath. You think I'm kidding? I'm not. Someone said Florida's mostly Spanish. That's so not true. I don't speak any Spanish. I took Spanish in high school and college. I don't speak any Spanish. I did pass, barely, in college Spanish. And no, you don't have to speak Spanish or understand Spanish or know any Spanish, even in Miami. It's not a problem. That's a urban legend. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, my name is Chester. I'm calling from Idaho.
Hey, Idaho.
I was just wondering.
Yes.
Hi. I was just wondering, what is it that you consider to be Western civilization?
Western civilization are countries that are descendant of European countries.
Mm-hmm. So you would say that Spain is part of Western civilization?
Absolutely. Yeah, Spain is part of Europe, as is Portugal. Mm-hmm. And part of that, and by the way, and part of that is, we have the same religion. I'm Catholic. We're Christians. So the Spaniards are Christian. The Portuguese are it's not about language any more than if it's France or German.
No, you don't actually know which point. You don't actually know which point I'm getting at. So would you say
either do you?
Would you say that Spain in the 900s of CE was part of Western civilization then? When it was controlled by an Islamic.
In 900, see, I live in the 21st century. I'm not talking about things that happened over 1,000 years ago.
Islam isn't a part of Western civilization.
Correct.
But it's been a part of several Western civilizations.
No, in fact, no.
Spain.
No, it just because they were there at a particular time.
Would argue Turkey.
Well, it's hard to argue when you won't stop talking. Okay, I know you're a Trump derangement syndrome suffering Democrat, but just have a regular conversation.
Oh, I'm not a Democrat.
I know.
Don't insult me.
I know. What are you?
I'd say I'm more of a left-winger.
Okay, well, it's the same thing. You're a liberal lunatic. Just because some Muslim people were in a particular place at a time does not mean they're part of our civilization.
They weren't in a particular place. They ruled Spain for like 100 or some odd years.
They conquered and ruled over. They are not. Muslims are not. Muslims are not part of Western civilization. It's another civilization.
Yeah, but there's still like ancient like mosques and like.
Sure. Western civilization at the root of it is Christian, which is Judaism. So Judeo-Christian civilizations are Western. Non-Judeo-Christians are not. Like the Japanese and the
Clearly
Chinese are not part of Western civilization either. Okay? A lot of it has to do with the religion, Christianity and Judaism. Why are you a leftist, by the way? What makes you a leftist?
I guess I believe in the. I guess I believe in the erosion of like global capital and imperialism and things like that.
You're against capitalism?
Yeah.
What do you? So you're a communist, Democrat, socialist, What are? Really? What do you do for a living?
I told you last time I'm a line cook.
You're a line cook. So what is? Okay, I don't remember the conversation. Vaguely, I remember the cook. So what is it about capitalism that you're so against?
I don't know. I guess like most people, especially if you sort of live in desperate situations, to make a living, you have to inherently
work,
sell your labor for less than it's worth. I think that the workers of any firm should collectively own the
communism.
Means of,
you ever seen Dr. Zhivago? Where's the successful communist country? Where's it worked?
I don't know. The communism kind of evolved in the era where the U.S. The U.S. had all.
No, there's still communism that rules countries around the world. Where has communism worked? What nation?
No, I'm not really a communist. I didn't say I'm a communist. I wouldn't call myself a communist.
Well, you don't want to use the word, but when collectivism and all these things you're talking about is communism. You can call it whatever you want. Where has stupid? I agree with you on that. Where in the world has a country had the economic system you fantasize about where it's worked?
Like a system of like true like collective ownership and like free distribution between all people.
Mm-hmm.
Your mother.
Come on. It does. The reason you can't think of one or don't know of one is because everywhere it's been attempted, it's failed. North Korea, China.
It's been there. Yeah, there are elections.
Soviet Union.
I don't know. I feel like the Soviet. Lenin kind of like electrified the
Soviet Union doesn't exist anymore. It collapsed. Cuba.
Yeah, we kind of did them dirty there.
Cuba.
Yeah, I basically agree with you. It's too bad. But
so your system, the system that you fantasize about, has failed everywhere it's been attempted. So why is this system that you fantasize about failed?
It has been achieved with.
Where?
I'm not going to say
Where?
When.
Where's it been achieved successfully?
Do you really want to know?
What are you going to say, your mother again, or some other pathetic insult?
Yeah, I was going to say something like that.
What? Come on, be an adult. Why do you think you can't name a country that's applied your fantasy system and been successful?
It's not my fantasy system.
Sure, it is.
I just want sort of a I don't know. Like I feel like we're probably never going to have like a non-market or non-money system. Like most like countries who have like called themselves like communists never really had the will.
Do you know you're against money? You want to live in a system without money? Is that what you're?
I just said we're probably not going to.
Why do you think that is?
Because it's existed for a very long time.
Why do you think that is, though? Why has money existed since there's been civilization?
I don't know. Probably because of a lot of reasons.
Because it's the only system it's the only system that works. And I want you to think about this. Hold on a second here. I want you to think about this. Okay. The American system of government, which is capitalism, the trickle-down economic theory is the theory of capitalism. I'm going to give you a living, breathing example of how the American system of capitalism is the greatest economic system and equalizer anywhere. Because in America, if you dedicate yourself to not being some whiny metrosexual little girl and complain that your life sucks, and you stand up and make something of yourself, you can do it. The Vice President of the United States, J.D. Vance, who's expected to be the second MAGA president, came from the poorest white trash area and family that you can possibly envision. His family had no money, no education. He's the first member of his family to go to college. He lived with his grandmother, who fed him through the Meals on Wheels program, and she went hungry to feed him her Meals on Wheels meals. And here he is, about to become the second MAGA president of the United States, when he had no family connections, no money, no education, nothing except a will to be a success. And when someone like J.D. Vance can rise to the level he has in this system, when it cannot happen in other countries, is proof positive that the most equal system in the world is the system we have here.
You know what I say to that?
I'm sure something with profanity in it.
No, I promise you nothing. You can tell your audience all about, the American dream and how to make it, even if you come from the lowest background of whatever. But statistically, no matter how many people try as hard as they can to achieve what, I guess J.D. Vance has achieved, statistically, most won't. And that's not for lack of trying. That is just because the system that holds these people up, these
hold on a second. No, you're very wrong. So how did J.D. Vance make it? How did J.D. Vance make it? No money, no connections.
Because eventually, at some point, off of the labor of hundreds of thousands of other people, the people who gas up his car, the people who build the buildings he works.
Do you know how he paid for college? Do you know how he paid for college? JD, he joined. No, it's not. He joined the Marine Corps and had the GI Bill.
These people should be paying more out of their pockets to uphold the
system
that has given us such immense wealth.
Okay, now slow down for a second. Slow down for a second. I have a very successful career and do very well. I live in a beautiful house where I'm broadcasting from. It's not far from the beach here in Florida. My parents didn't go to college. I went to college and made my own way. I had no family connections either. And as far as taxes, one of my biggest expenses are taxes. I have
what did you have achieved, even from lower circumstances than you? But statistically,
yes,
the vast majority won't, because that is what it takes to hold up our society. That's what
no, because people like you.
So you think people should have more of a democratic control of
we do
the means of where they work?
If you put the effort,
don't you think they should?
I give you an example. You're a line cook, which that's a skill, okay? If I were a line cook like you, okay, I would do that is a skill that I do not have. I would do one of a couple of things, okay? I would, and you could be very successful. You could put together a YouTube channel or a TikTok channel about being a line cook, teaching people to be a line cook, and show and you could make 6 figures a year in just a couple of years. You'd be making 6 figures a year just from home, educating people on how to be a line cook on YouTube or TikTok. But that takes effort.
A year on TikTok, I would be one of 40 people.
You'll never know, because you'll never do anything because you're a loser.
Yeah, but okay, well now you're
lazy. You're lazy.
If this is your only you don't know. If this is your only analysis of American society, where you're only talking to the 1% of people who will make it financially, then you're never going to solve any problem with our structure,
You could go, okay, you could get another thing you could do, because you have a line cook skill. You could go.
No, before you blow me, you should really apologize for calling me a loser. That's not very nice.
Well, you are, because you think I gave you an example.
Don't say I have this skill and then call me a loser. That's
No. What I gave you.
No, my feelings are hurt. I didn't.
Excuse me. I don't care if your feelings are hurt. You said your mama to me. What the hell? Now all of a sudden.
I did.
So no, you think.
But you were.
I'll tell you why. No, I'm going to tell you why. I want to tell you why I call you a loser. Okay. I'm going to tell you why I call you a loser.
Do it.
Okay. I gave you an example of how you could start today. If you started a TikTok or a YouTube channel today about nothing but being a line cook, you could teach people how to be a line cook, how you do it, how do you prepare, every day. how you could earn within 2 or 3 years, you could be earning 6 figures a year, and you just gave me half a dozen reasons why you won't do it. So, you know, you don't want to better yourself, man.
I actually didn't say any reason why I wouldn't do it.
Yeah. Then why don't you? Don't you want to earn 6 figures a year?
No, I would never
Really. So you
by
want to be
starting an
broke.
amateur YouTube channel.
So you want to be
I don't wanna start an
it's
YouTube
not
channel.
amateur.
That's
You
a
have
silly way to make
you have a professional skill. Being a line cook is a trade. It's a great trade where you have knowledge and you have skills. And you could apply that and get away from that hot kitchen and work for yourself and earn 6 figures a year. And you could, and by the way, pay a lot of money in taxes.
But what if I like where I am?
Then stop complaining. Then stop whining about the situation.
I'm not complaining. I'm just being empathetic towards other people. I'm in a very privileged position. I grew up. I grew up with a very nice family. I have tons of people who support me. I'm doing fine. I don't think.
No, you're not. No, you're talking about all this inequality and financial equity and everything. Hey, listen, I appreciate the call. It was a good conversation.
Because I love the people in my country. Okay.
I know he loves the people in the country. I know. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, it's Renee from Harlem.
Hey, Renee. Good morning. How you doing?
Yeah, I just been listening to a racist diatribe trying to tell people, oh man, you're really insufferable. Like, for example, Portugal was a major slave trader. You know that, right? You're probably proud of that.
Where'd they get the slaves from?
Africa.
Okay.
And Europe.
Okay, slow down, because this is interesting, because you know a lot about this. So all the slave, there's something I've missed. All the slave traders. No, Renee, I want to have a conversation with you. All the slave trading countries of Europe. Okay. What I miss from history is when they invaded and conquered Europe. Because what I learned in history is that the Africans sold other Africans to the slave traders along the coast. There was never a European invasion to take over and kidnap everybody. Africans kidnapped and sold other Africans to the slave traders. So what responsibility does Africa have for that?
Well, that's none of your business.
Oh, it's none of my business. Is that the best answer you could come up with? That's none of my business.
I would tell you, but you keep talking.
Okay, let's go. Let's hear it.
Thank you. Shut up. Now, the problem is, we had no idea the level and extent of depravity that you people would run to get your free labor. Africans had been taken in captivity before, but it was due to prisoner of war, and they had no idea.
No, but what I'm trying to understand is Africans kidnapped other Africans and sold them to the Europeans. The Europeans didn't invade and take over. They just hung out on the beach. So what responsibility does Africa have for the slavery?
You're stupid. Now, why do you think Ibrahim Traore kicked you people out of his country?
What? I missed the beginning. Who did what? I didn't hear the name. I didn't hear the name.
Ibrahim Traore. Look it up, you idiot.
You're distorted. I couldn't hear the name.
Ibrahim Traore.
Ibrahim Cal. I don't know who that is. Who is that?
With a T, man, you're stupid.
Who is he?
You are that.
Yes, okay. That's fine. If whatever gets you through your Saturday, I'm stupid, yes.
And the Americans out.
If I'm so stupid, how did I trigger you? Hey, listen, take care. Oh my goodness. I like when he said, that's none of your business. If you're new to the program, my name is Brian Craig. This is where MAGA comes to talk. If you're new, please subscribe. I'm going to take a quick break. If you'd like to call in, the number is pinned in the live chat on YouTube. It's toll free, 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. We'll be right back. All right, now before I get back to the issues, if you're in the state of Florida and you've got a wet spot on your ceiling, you got a leak in your roof. It's hurricane season in Florida. You want to take care of that. Call Tom Laporta at Laporta Roofing. He covers both the east and west coast of Florida and everywhere in between, from the Atlantic Ocean across all the way to the Gulf of America and everywhere in between. He works on every type of structure, residential, commercial, municipal, works with every type of roofing material. And he's also not just a roofer, but a contractor, which under Florida law allows him to deal directly with your insurance company on the cost of the replacement or the repair of your roof. That's right. And he's a good MAGA guy who will never sell you a roof you do not need. If you need just a simple repair, he will do it. Give Tom Laporta a call or a text. 954-604-4602. 954-604-4602. And online, laportaroofing.com. Okay, so if you'd like to call in, please do. It's toll free no matter where you're watching or listening from. If you're watching live on YouTube, the number is pinned in the live chat. And obviously, all opinions are welcome, whether you agree or disagree. And it's 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. Okay, hold on a second here. Let's see here. Okay. And I got a couple of things I want to talk about. Now, the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, announced that for all service personnel in America's military that are 30 years of age or older, they're going to start testing them for testosterone. And I'm actually getting my testosterone levels checked on Monday. And that's right. And I'll be telling you about that when I get the results and everything else. And as you grow older, your testosterone does go down. And having high testosterone is what you want in the military, not low testosterone. And those under 30, if they choose, can be tested. And the military, if people choose, it's not being forced upon them, they can have testosterone treatments. It's a good thing. Well, The View, they weren't happy with it. You know, they're not happy with anything Trump does. But here's the ladies of The View on the Coven of The View talking about making sure that our service personnel in the United States military, at least the men, of course, have proper testosterone levels. You don't hear any laughter from the audience on the penis size joke. That was supposed to get laughter from the audience. First off, she's completely wrong. You know, I've had testosterone therapy in the past, and if my testosterone is low, I'm going to start it again. And, you know, and I did have low testosterone in the past. I was surprised. And I took testosterone treatment, and it changes your life. I mean, you get your life back. And, you know, when you're looking at the military, you want to have high testosterone in the military. That's how it works, okay? I mean, you want to have tough guys that are ready to go. You don't want to have a bunch of girly men like the line cook that doesn't want to start a TikTok or a YouTube channel about being a line cook. And you know, wouldn't you, if you were that guy, can you think about it now? The skill set that guy had that I was talking to, if he had a YouTube channel, hold on a second here, guys. If he had a YouTube channel or a TikTok about being a line cook, wouldn't you watch it? I'd watch it. I think that'd be fascinating. And he could be pretty successful with that. But anyway, you want people, and I hope he does. I hope he takes my advice. And he doesn't have to give me credit or even tell us, you know, or admit that he did it. But there's no way that guy isn't thinking about starting a YouTube channel or a TikTok about being a line cook now. There's just no way. Because he's thinking, wow, yeah, maybe that's a good idea. But, you know, he has Trump derangement syndrome, so he doesn't want to give me credit. But you want to have the military filled with guys that have high testosterone. That's it. You know, and for The View to argue that it's a bad thing, it really cracks me up. So James Carville, he went on Blitzer on CNN yesterday, and he was talking to him about CNN and other news outlets not carrying the president's address to the nation the other night. And James Carville, he's a crazy liberal Democrat, but Greg Gutfeld said early last week, it's a sad statement on the Democrats that the most sane voice they have is James Carville. That's absolutely true. But listen to this. This is Blitzer with James Carville yesterday on CNN talking about them not carrying Trump's speech. I mean, this is not the answer that Blitzer was hoping for. This is amazing. See, and this is the problem with the Trump derangement syndrome suffering, because James Carville's crazy. He's a crazy Democrat, and for him to go after CNN like that when he's on their air is just not what they were expecting. It's not what they were expecting at all. So I wanted to share a little bit. This is, let me pull this up. Okay, this is MS Now, and they're of course talking about the president. Is that an accent trying to sound like he's a white guy? What is that British accent he's doing? Von, what is he, German? Okay, so this just blows my mind. Now, if you look, the time of this segment on MS Now was 7:41 p.m., an hour and 20 minutes before the actual event. So and the president declassified the documents during the speech. And what they've done is they have talked about things and are trying to discount things before the president even displayed them. And what the president did was declassify and release documents that say all kinds of things, including the lady FBI agent who said, "I've got my own shadow government," and detailing how they're keeping this information from the president, and it goes on and on and on. And what the president dropped and released the other night about Chinese influence and everything was all new information and was evidence because it was released in documents. And what they've said over the years over this is, well, he's offered no proof. Well, then he does tons of proof in documented form, and they don't even want to look at it. They just ignore it, and they discount it without even looking at it. So do they want proof or not? No, they don't. And the media that didn't carry it the other night, they proved that one thing, that they either work for the deep state or China, right? Some of them work for both. One of them, their employer's China. Some of them, their employer's the deep state. All right, here's News Nation, Catherine Herridge over on News Nation. Correct.
It's different than an interference operation, which is penetrating voting rolls and voter slips. And this whistleblower was raising the alarm about the influence operation, and then suddenly it all was suppressed. My understanding is that some of their reports, there were in officials' own handwriting that they wanted everything out that could help President Trump in his reelection. So there was clear evidence of political and personal bias, and intelligence is supposed to be neutral. So what we heard tonight from the president is an allegation that this intelligence was suppressed in order to harm him, and now we're seeing documents already which back up those claims.
Yeah, exactly. So Catherine Herridge with Katie Pavlich over on News Nation, this was the only analysis we heard the other night that was actually accurate and giving us true journalism when it came to analysis. You don't have to agree with President Trump's conclusions. I do. I always agree with President Trump because he's always right. But they don't even want to look at it. And that's why they didn't carry it, because they don't want their audience to know about it. And what they want to do is tell you it's not true. He's been saying this for years. There's no evidence, or it's been debunked. But they don't look at it, they don't listen to it, and they don't read through the documents because they have their marching orders from the deep state and from China, some of them both. So here's John King over on CNN. Crazy. Well, there is news because there's a whole news wave just on one angle that they won't carry it. And here's the thing, what he's saying about the documents. This one really blows my mind with John King over there. By the way, if you're new to the program, welcome. My name's Brian Craig. This is where MAGA comes to talk, and I am live 7 days a week in the morning. And anytime I'm in the studio, I am taking live calls like I've been doing this morning. And you're all welcome to call in. All opinions are always welcome. 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. If you're watching on YouTube live, the toll-free number is pinned in the live chat. So, this line that John King started with before the speech is one that others have said. And they said this, well, wait a minute. These are classified documents he's declassifying. So we have to make sure that it's okay and safe to share these classified documents with the world, right? Well, first of all, just last week, they gave classified information about Air Force One, the new one that Qatar gifted us, that it could be shot down by Iran. I didn't hear anything about having to talk to experts of avionics and past Air Force One pilots or anything. They just went with it. Nobody buys that. Now, this guy here, he's a real beaut. This is Major Garrett. He was on Fox for years and years, and I thought he was okay guy. And then a number of years ago, Major Garrett left Fox, went over to CBS News, and he came out of the closet as a liberal Trump derangement syndrome suffering lunatic. Okay, now let me just stop there. This blows me away, and this is the analogy I use with this. So there's 250,000 foreign nationals registered to vote in 4 states. They don't have more information because most states wouldn't cooperate and give up over the information. He's saying, well, just because these non-citizens are registered to vote doesn't mean they vote, so nothing to see here. No problem. Have you ever gone online to the online neighborhood sex offenders registration list? I do it in my neighborhood from time to time. When my daughter was a kid and lived at home before she grew up. My daughter's a grown woman now, lives on her own, but when she was a little girl and lived at home, I used to check this regularly, and I've never had sex offenders in my development, thankfully so. There's a couple developments over, there's some, I'll tell you that. But if in your neighborhood there were 25, I'll use that number because 250,000. If there were 25 registered sex offenders on your street, would that trouble you, or would you be like Major Garrett? Well, yeah, they're registered sex offenders, but it doesn't mean they're offending. Or would you be scared to death and say, what the hell is going on here? All right, so let me rewind it, and we'll play the whole thing. What stupid logic from Major Garrett. He's a major liberal jerk is what he is. Oh my goodness. How stupid. This just is insane. And this was before, now keep in mind, they've discounted everything the president said before he said it, right? He didn't even make the speech yet. Think about that. Now, if you're on hold, hang in there. If you'd like to call in, please do. The number's toll free, 888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. I'm going to take a quick break and come back with more. Don't go anywhere. All right. Yes, yes, yes. Promo code Kane at checkout, Kane. Okay, so yeah, so they're freaking out on the left over President Trump's speech. This is Governor Gavin Newsom of California. Yeah, I'd like to see him get the MAGA cabinet together. Pete Hegseth, Marcos, Bessett, all of them, and sign off on that. It is a real thing, really. So he's agreeing. He said, Gavin Newsom said, foreign interference is a real thing. Listen. Shocker. See what they're doing? They're foreshadowing election denialism. They're expecting to lose the midterms, so they're telling you that Trump's going to steal it. So when they lose, they didn't lose. Trump stole it. That's called foreshadowing. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian. Good morning. JJ from Mass.
Oh, hey, JJ. How you doing?
Doing good. Doing real well, actually. It seems to me, Brian, that I don't know. I guess these haters congregate en masse on Saturday, or at least the line cook. I guess the line cook Kami, and then Renee right after that. That double whammy of negativity and stupidity. I don't know if I was ready to laugh or just.
Well, Renee from Harlem was humiliated, but the line cook, I gave him very good advice, and no one can convince me that he's not thinking about that. That he doesn't.
No, I think he is.
Yeah.
I think he's stuck. He's stuck. I think a lot of people they have like a failure to launch. They're scared. They get caught up in their own where they are. And if I go forward, I might lose what I have. It's sort of like learned helplessness in a way. But one of the things, as far as those two guys, enough of those two. I wanted to talk to you about about Trump's speech in CBS or in ABC, NBC. The right to remain silent is what they were basically exercising there because they're guilty as hell.
Yes.
And you said something
Correct.
a while ago, which I've always thought was true. You were talking about the Chief Justice and how he basically rules the way that we perceive he should rule. As normal people, you and I and a lot of other people, we expect a certain reaction or a certain ruling because it's the way life is, it's the way it should be, and he rules that way, and we're all comfortable with this guy. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, he rules like, Genghis Khan or something. He comes up with, this last ruling he had. Well, Fox News is the same damn way. Fox News brings people in because they report normally. They do the things that everybody perceives. They gather. It's a tactic. They gather this large audience in the conservative space, and they don't overtly come out and become stupid, but by omission, the next, like the day after Trump's speech, you pointed it out on your show. There's just very little. They didn't cover it at all because Fox News paid the voting machine company. They paid them. They paid them.
Yeah, but this wasn't. But what he talked about the other night wasn't about that. It was about, and they did report on it later in the day. But they didn't, they didn't on Mediaite reported. Obviously, I don't watch Fox and Friends because I'm on the radio and on YouTube at the same time. But so Mediaite had a story about it that they didn't mention it once in their 3 hours. So on Fox and Friends yesterday, so they
my point about them.
Yeah.
The point I'm making is the modus operandi of Fox and what they did, because this story, everything. Granted, Trump didn't come out and say, the 2020 election was stolen. It wasn't about that, but it is about what he was talking about was about elections being stolen. And what Fox does, like I said, they gather the audience in by being normal, and then they're stupid by paying off these moron drug companies. Well, they were kind of a drug company, but the voting machine companies, by paying them off, it gave like a precedent. It gave like a believability that they were a solid company. And
Well,
they are.
I'll tell you with Fox, okay, just give you a little history. And by the way, I don't think it was the machines. I just think that they absentee ballots and things like this is where it's done. And the reason it didn't happen last time is because, we had the pandemic and it was a special year with special circumstances that's unlikely to be duplicated, hopefully. But the thing about Fox went on the air in 1994 and no one watched it until the 2000 recount and in Florida with the Bush v. Gore stuff. And the reason that they became number one is because in the recount, they were the only news organization that was really reporting the truth about what was going on. Yeah. And I remember because they were counting the ballots in Broward County down the street from where I lived at the time, like 2 miles from my house, and I used to go there every day.
Yep.
And
I was in Florida. I was in Florida at the time. I voted in that election.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah, it was.
I remember the little punch, the guys holding it up to the light, and I mean, it was insane.
I remember one day I was down there. William LaJeunesse, who's still on Fox News, William LaJeunesse was covering the recount in Florida for Fox News, and I was watching him do a report, and he stopped because his segment was over. And I remember I saw these two Republican guys go up to him and say, "Can I shake your hand?" And he shook hands, and they said, "Thank you for what you're doing. You're the only one out here reporting the truth." And that's when Fox News shot up to number one. And then after they became popular, they got compromised. And Dana Perino earns $55 million a year at Fox. And Hannity.
I think it works just like you said, Brian. Just like you said, though.
And Hannity.
Once they become successful, that's when
they own you.
They have the power. That's when they get infiltrated.
They own you. And Hannity makes more than her at Fox, right? Yep. So the reason that and I'm not against people making millions of dollars. I wish that I was making $55 million a year. And, but the reason that they overpay these people is so they can control them and control they made a deal with the devil. They've signed a deal with the devil. And because they all live in Palm Beach, and they're making that kind of money, they'll do and say whatever they got to say. That's just that's it.
Yep. I was going to ask you too, Brian. Have you heard of Gary Burnson?
Mm-mm.
No. Gary Burnson. He ran back in I think it was 2010 or whatever. I think he ran against Schumer, but he's a former CIA office chief station. I mean, he led the Jawbreaker, the CIA. They were like the first ones in Afghanistan, and he was also then they moved him from there. They moved him down to South America, and he was doing intelligence again, sort of like the chief of station, where they were gathering evidence about Maduro, about Venezuela, and he's very, very well acclimated with all of that. Well, he, along with some other people, Ralph Pizzullo, he's a writer, wrote a book called Stolen Elections, the Takedown of Democracies Worldwide. For your own personal knowledge, you should get that book if you haven't. I don't think you have read it, because when you say you don't think it's the machines, it's a combination of everything, without a doubt. But if you read that book,
well, the main thing. Listen, I'm not. I'm very well versed in all this stuff. It sounds like an interesting book, but see, here's the thing: the reason that the country is vulnerable is because voter registration isn't regulated. So you don't even, so we've got to control that and make sure that the only people registered to vote are U.S. citizens.
Americans, yeah.
And that you have to show photo ID to vote. And if you do those two things, you'll take care of 85 to 90% of the problem. In any system that's as large as national elections, it's never going to be perfect. It's like, if you go to any retail store, there's something called shrinkage, which is the inventory that disappears, from employee theft and things, or going out the back.
Sure.
So the bigger a company becomes, the more shrinkage there is and more employee theft. So you're never going to have something that's 100%. But what we are talking about with proof of citizenship to register and photo ID required to vote would take care of so much of the problem that the other things wouldn't be as effective. A lot of it, 80, 90% on immediately. And voter registration, I think voter registration should be required at least every 10 years. It should be every 4 years with the presidential elections. You know, just like your driver's license expires, your registration should to vote should expire, and you have to renew it. Same thing.
Yeah, keep it fresh. Get the old off, the new one. It's like first in, first out, last in, last out, etc. Yeah, I think that with the Save America Act, Trump, I mean, he has the PBD number. I think it's number 21.
Yeah.
He has that on the shelf. You know, if the Save America Act doesn't go through, there's things that he can do, because a lot of the equipment that's being used has, chips or, pieces of valuable. I don't know how to.
Let me tell you.
Let
me tell you my. I'm just going to tell you guys right outside the box, okay? Because I'm a solutions-oriented guy, okay, in my private life too, and I encounter problems all the time. My wife and I, like anybody else, like you guys do, and if there's a problem, I take care of it. And I look for a solution and take care of it. And my opinion is, when it comes to this, solution one's the Save America Act for the reason. And all this talk about machines and everything, I'm not saying you're wrong at all, but that doesn't really solve the problem. In fact, it just kind of distracts from it. 100% of our effort needs to be proof of citizenship to register and government-issued photo ID to vote. And that would solve almost everything. And then after that, then we can worry about these other things. But focusing on that, I think it distracts us from what's got to be done.
What you just said, I don't consider it a distraction. I understand what you're saying, though, but I consider it, it's all hands, the entire government, everything. I mean, Trump's been briefed by, he has seen the Gary Bernstein stuff, the Patrick Byrne stuff. In fact, those guys, Gary Bernstein and Patrick Byrne, they ran counterintelligence, not from a country standpoint, but from a private citizen standpoint.
Yeah.
I believe the government was involved in some aspects of it in the 2024 election. Without those guys and what they did, I mean, there's a lot here that I understand what you're saying, Brian, as far as focusing. Let's not get distracted.
Well, the reason that President Trump did that speech the other night was the main reason was to put pressure on Thune to pass the Save America Act. That was the whole reason he did it, I think.
Yeah, so you see that. I see that in some aspects, and I agreed with you on that during the show. But I also see the aspects of the fact that, one of the toughest things for these people in all of these cases that are going on, and so many of them are going on, but nobody knows about them because it's never talked about. It's not in the media doesn't want to show it. Is that if you're going to be questioned by somebody and and you worked for the FBI or the CIA, you're not allowed to talk about anything if it's classified. You're not allowed to discuss it.
Yes.
Now that it's declassified, now the warrants can go out. People have to. They can't keep their mouth shut. You understand? They have to now.
You know what I think's happened?
Have to speak.
What I think is
witnesses now have to talk.
What I think has happened that doesn't seem too obvious. John Ratcliffe is the director of the CIA. He was a Republican congressman. And if you notice, the deep state has become more and more in tune with Trump's way of thinking. I think there's been a massive purge of the deep state intelligence community in the last year and a half that we're not really fully aware of. And there's,
I agree.
Yeah, and that'll change. See, I'm of the opinion that, and this may be a conservative estimate, 30 to 40% of Democrats, if we had the Save America Act passed, and I think it might even be higher, but 30 to 40% of Democrats in Congress wouldn't be there if the Save America Act were in place. And a lot of these other problems that almost everything we're facing in this country would be solved if the Save America Act's passed, because all these liberal loons would be out.
I agree. I did the math going back because I understand your train of thought here, because I'm looking back at the elections that we really didn't lose.
But I'm looking at 26 and 28 and 32. It's just a different way of thinking.
happen.
We agree, but it's just we're focused. Hey, but I appreciate the call, JJ. I'm gonna move on because I got some other callers. But I appreciate the call, and we agree. It's just we are focused on different aspects of the same thing. All right, hold on a second here. All right, you're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? That's what I thought. All right, now the rest of you on hold, hang in there. And those of you that watch me during the week in the mornings, if you notice when I do I do these live streams 7 days a week in the studio, Saturday and Sunday mornings, taking calls, same studio, because of my own studio I'm in. Yesterday I was at the radio station, but I'm usually here in my own studio. So I'm here 7 days a week taking your live calls, and most afternoons as well, doing the same thing. I am going to take a quick break, though, and when we get back, I'm going to get into some other things and continue with where I'm going to, because I've got more to touch on. My name is Brian. This, of course, is the Brian Craig Show podcast, available wherever you get podcasts. And if you want to catch the show live in video form, it's on YouTube. Just search for the Brian Craig Show on YouTube. All right, callers on hold, stand by. We'll be back right after this. All right, welcome back. I'm Brian, and this is the Brian Craig Show podcast. If you have not done it already, last Saturday I went and made a YouTube video. It's on my channel where I gave a tour of Donald John Trump International Airport here in Palm Beach. And it's a full tour of the entire Donald J. Trump International Airport, and it's beautiful. Did you see this story that United Airlines was offering to transfer people to different flights that land at different airports if they don't want to land at Donald John Trump International Airport? How stupid can you be? That's some hardcore Trump derangement syndrome. But I showed the United Airlines ticket windows on the vlog, and all around it, it says Donald John Trump International Airport all around the United. It's hilarious. It's on every screen. The signs are everywhere, and it felt so good to be there. It did. So it's on the channel right here. Check that out. And my other videos too, if you don't mind. My visit to Alligator Alcatraz, my documentary that I made on the assassination attempt at the president at the golf course here in Florida. I got a lot of good videos there. This one person, though, out of all of the coverage after the president's speech the other night, this one blew my mind. This is Margaret Brennan over on CBS. And Margaret Brennan, she's a real Trump hater. Her husband is a Syrian. He's an American citizen, but he's a Muslim American, a Syrian American. I wonder if she's Muslim and are her kids Muslim because her husband's from Syria. But here's Margaret Brennan. She's giving her analysis. Listen to this nonsense. Remember, they didn't carry the speech, right? Listen to her analysis of President Trump's speech the other night, live on CBS. Now here's the thing here. When have you ever heard this standard from the media that they can only carry presidents and politicians who speak if they can fact check everything they say? That standard only applies to President Trump. Now look at this. CBS won't cover what Trump's saying. So they have it on the screen. You hear him in the background, and she's talking while he's talking, telling you don't listen to him. Everything he's saying is wrong. Well, how does she know what he's saying is wrong when she's talking over him and not listening? Now listen to what she does. Okay, so this blows my mind. I've never seen anything like this. Do any of you disagree that China wants to see America destroyed? They're like our enemy, right? So she won't carry the president or let you hear what he's saying because they need to fact check it. But she is going to read a statement from the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party government, live on the air as if it's the gospel. Oh, yeah. Then why did they have all of our voter registrations from every state? Why did they have that balloon flying over the United States, taking pictures of our missile silos throughout the country and our air bases where all the stealth bombers and fighters are if they're not interfering, among many other things? Why did they give Hunter Biden that diamond when Joe went to China? You know, there's a lot of things. If they're not interfering, what are all these things about? Okay. So she's saying that the president's undermining his presidency. How nice of Margaret Brennan to be concerned about President Trump not undermining his presidency. Have you ever seen in your life a statement read from an enemy nation and an enemy government like this as if it's factual? I've never seen anything like this. And this is why people are saying today that they work for China. I mean, what are you supposed to think? I'll tell you one thing I'm not going to be doing that I normally do on Saturdays. I usually in the mornings I go to Taco Bell. I won't be doing that today. Have you seen this Taco Bell? They've got this lettuce problem where it's causing diarrhea. I'm not going to be going to Taco Bell today. Oh, no way. And I don't know if I'll be going there anytime soon, actually, or for a long time. I wanted to find this one story, though. Hold on, I didn't pull it up, so give me a second here. Let me pull this story up because I wanted to share this with you guys. Okay, I have not eaten at Olive Garden in years. Okay, I used to eat there when I was younger, and I always liked the Caesar salad. I like the salad and the breadsticks. And they have this new thing on this unlimited spaghetti deal. And then it came out yesterday that Olive Garden is requiring ID to take part in their pasta pass. Look at this. This is Fox News reporting. Olive Garden's never-ending pasta pass sparked an unlikely political firestorm after conservatives applauded the restaurant's photo ID requirement. And my wife and I, we were thinking about getting that pasta pass. It's like $100 a person or something like that. As much pasta as you can eat in the restaurant for 90 days. And I love pasta. So, you know, my wife's Italian. But my wife, she likes real Italian stuff. So I don't know if she could handle 90 days of Olive Garden. And then I saw they limit the number of passes. But they're requiring photo ID so you can't send your families in, right? To get the free pasta pass. If you need government-issued photo ID to order pasta at Olive Garden, should you not need government photo ID to vote in an election in the United States? Is it more important to have photo ID for pasta, or more important to have photo ID for voting in the elections? I mean, it goes without saying. And I wanted to show this to you guys. I found this on X the other day, and this is so true. You know, these liberal lies. Somebody wrote this down of what the left have said over the years. Look at this. In the 1960s, and they say this in the 70s too, because I was around in the 70s. Oil will be gone in 10 years, they used to say in the 60s. And then we find out that oil is a forever resource. Oil does not come from decaying dinosaurs and plants of the Stone Age. The earth actually makes the oil, so it will never run out. It is a forever resource. But they used to tell us it'd be gone in 10 years. In the 1970s, they told us we were facing another ice age and we would face it in 10 years. That didn't happen. This was a big one. This is an oldie but a goodie. In the 1980s, acid rain will destroy all crops within 10 years. There was an episode of Different Strokes about acid rain. And on an episode of Different Strokes, the sister, Dana Plato, she washed her hair with rainwater. It turned her hair green. Remember that episode? It was an acid rain episode. In the 1990s, and they used to have this in the 70s and 80s too. In the 1990s, the ozone layer will be gone in 10 years. Remember that one? And even in the 70s on All in the Family, they used to tell us that aerosol cans were going to destroy the ozone. And there's an episode of All in the Family where Meathead and Gloria are getting into a fight and she's using hairspray and he freaks out because he's a liberal, Carl, Reiner, who sadly was murdered by his son, Rob Reiner. And they used to tell us that the hole in the ozone layer was going to radiate the earth, right, in the 70s and in the 80s and in the 90s. And then what did they find? That holes in the ozone layer not only are normal, but lightning actually makes ozone. So every time there's lightning, ozone's created. That's what protects us. In the 2000s, Al Gore, the ice caps will be gone in 10 years. And of course, that hasn't happened. And this person that made this note is so true. They said none of it happened, but all resulted in more taxes. That's true. You know, liberals always are trying to scare people with all this crap. None of it's true. None of it happens. And it's all just made up lies for tax money. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Made up lies for tax money.
You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Once.
Do you love pedophiles? I think you do.
What?
I think you're a pedo lover. Pedophile lover.
No, that's not me. You've called the wrong person.
Nope, you're a pedophile lover.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all? You got nothing else to
Pedophile
say?
lover.
You have such a limited vocabulary. You don't know other words?
Yes, I do.
Oh, here we go. Here's going to
Well,
come the
you're a
F
pedophile
you.
lover, so
Yeah.
that's all
So
that
same
matters.
thing. That's really amazing. What kind of weirdo are you?
Thank you.
I want you to think about it. Okay, this, you know, at the beginning of the program, I played the way this program began was some clips from Stephen Miller.
Yeah, you're a
Excuse me.
podcast, Mike.
It was Stephen Miller talking about the American left. And this idiot on the line, you are everything that Stephen Miller described.
Yes.
All right, take care. He is everything that Stephen Miller described, isn't he? If you missed the beginning of the program, by the way, rewind to the beginning and you'll get it. Everything that Stephen Miller described about the left is that guy right there, isn't he? Oh my goodness. You know, they can't, you know, the opportunity that I give you on this program is one that you don't have anywhere else, right? All viewpoints are welcome on the phones. I take all the calls screenless and unvetted. I do not use a phone screener. No one answers the phone. When you call in, I put you on hold. And when I say, you're on the air, what's your name? Where are you calling from? That's the first time I know who you are on hold. I have no idea who's on hold till I hear you tell me when I say that. I even turn off the caller ID. So I have no caller ID because I don't want to know who's calling. I want to be surprised and caught off guard. All viewpoints are welcome, right? And if you notice with the Democrats that call me, very few of them, of these leftists, try to have any type of real conversation, right? Because liberalism just doesn't hold up against conservative thought, does it? Not at all. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, I go by Anonymous. Long-time listener, first-time caller.
Oh yes, sure. I would go by Anonymous if I was you too. I wouldn't want to use my real name. Yeah. Anyway, the reason for your call, Anonymous.
I'm calling from San Francisco, California. And the reason for my call is we have some disagreements on some issues. It seems like you have a problem with some of the science that has come out, or the science that the experts have explained about climate change, holes in the ozone layer.
What science am I denying? I don't. Be specific.
Well, let's not be specific.
Oh.
Let's do some generalization.
Okay.
Because I think getting specific, getting like into the minutiae.
I know. Get facts and information. Yeah, I know. It's tough.
You know, we have a methodology for understanding, finding like information. How do we know what we know? The philosophy of science. It's a study that's been going on since, but basically 1,000 years. We take information from the world. We have experts and things like that. When you say things like, you know, the hole in the ozone layer, like that's something that like actually happened. Like we have data and stuff.
No, okay. I'm going to slow down. Okay. I'll mention quickly on the ozone layer, but I want to get to the climate change, global warming as a whole. Okay. There is always a hole in the ozone layer. That's the way it is. Lightning creates ozone and creates more ozone to keep the radiation from the galaxy and the sun off of us. But when it comes to one of the, you know, when Barack Obama was president, okay, Barack Obama was a big proponent of man-made climate change and gave us a lot of laws, rules, and regulation to try to save the planet from the rising oceans and all that, right? He did a lot. It was a big part of his presidency. Is that correct? You agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay, then why does he? If the seas are rising, why did he buy a $300 million home on the ocean?
I don't know that.
Well, no. He lives in a mansion with Michelle on the ocean. They've spent millions upon millions of dollars on this. If the seas were rising, Barack Obama passed so much of this. Why would he spend tens of millions of dollars on an oceanfront home that's going to be underwater in a few years?
Well, I think talking about what
does that make sense? Does that make sense?
Well, I would just say, what people do is what.
Why don't you just say that you got me? How about it? Why don't you just say that you got me? You're right. That makes no sense. I'll give you another example.
No.
I'm going to give you. I have
one thing to say about that. I have one little rebuttal.
Yeah.
I do believe more than 50% of the world's population lives by the ocean, like lives on the coast in cities on the ocean.
But you don't have to. Obama. I know. I live on the coast. I'm in Florida. Name me an island that was habitable with cities and towns on it that had to be evacuated because of rising oceans.
Oh boy, there is a country that
that what is underwater now?
No, it's not underwater yet, but we do have data that.
No. What island had cities and towns on it that had to be evacuated because of rising oceans?
I'm uncertain.
Why do you think you can't? Why do you think you don't know of one? Why do you think you can't name one?
I can't name it off the top of my head.
Because no, there isn't one. And I'm going to give you one other example, okay?
No. So if we really want to go back in time, climate change is something.
No, we're not going to go back in time. We're talking about what we're talking about now. I'll give you another thing. And this, as a the theory isn't just global warming, it's man-made climate change, that human activity through carbon emissions is causing the ice caps to melt and it's rising our oceans, okay? And it's been going on and it's going to be a problem. And I'm going to give you an example that you can check out. I live in South Florida. The ocean is right down the street from my house. And I grew up right down the road from where I live today in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. It's where my mother lives in the house I grew up in today. Fort Lauderdale, Florida is on the Atlantic Ocean coast. The state of Florida is a peninsula surrounded on three sides by water, right? We've got the Atlantic Ocean on one side, the Gulf of America on the other side, and the Caribbean Sea on the south. And Florida is at sea level, okay? There is a movie, when it comes, I study history. And with history, when you're studying history, you want to use primary sources. And when it comes to climate science, they follow the levels of oceans over the years. There's a movie that was filmed in Fort Lauderdale, Florida in 1960. It's called Where the Boys Are, 1960. All right, Kennedy was president. This is before Kennedy was assassinated, 1960. So 1960 was how many years ago, caller? 66 years ago, right? 66 years ago. They filmed that movie on Fort Lauderdale Beach. You go to that movie, and I've filmed some vlogs at Fort Lauderdale Beach on my channel here. You look at Fort Lauderdale Beach in 1960, and you look at it today in 2026, the beach is where it was in 1960. The road that they drive on is the same road you drive on today, 66 years later, okay? So the seas are not rising. It's a liberal lie.
What's your name?
Brian Craig. It's on my. It's the Brian Craig Show is the name of the channel. Craig. It's on the screen above my head.
Okay, Brian Craig. I'd really like us to agree on something.
That you don't know what you're talking about? Yes.
Okay, well maybe we can agree on that if we can.
That you don't know what you're talking about. Yes.
If we can't agree on any of my points, we can leave with we can agree that I don't know what I'm talking about. You know, the basic understanding is that the Earth isn't a closed system. It regulates itself. Sun comes in, the ultraviolet light heats up the Earth. You know, when we put carbon into the air, there's this thing called the greenhouse effect. Carbon in the air absorbs more infrared light, which creates more heat trapped in the atmosphere. This is like a simple type of system.
It's all you're using a bunch of fancy words and language that you think make you look smart, but it just makes you look naive. I'm giving real world examples. The globe is not warming, the ice caps are not melting, and the seas are not rising.
Can you give me just a quick chance to make a point?
Quickly.
There's a planet in our solar system. It's called Venus. Venus is kind of a hellscape. The surface temperature is hot enough to melt lead. This is because of a runaway greenhouse.
No, it's because it's close to the sun, and it is close to the sun. It doesn't support life. It doesn't have water, and it has a thick cloud cover, and it's much closer to the sun than we are. In fact, I'll look.
Yes,
and that has an effect. It's by the sun.
All right. Well, you know, the general consensus.
So you can't use another planet that doesn't even have oxygen, that's close to the sun, and say, well, we're going to be Venus. That's just stupid. That's just absurd.
All right. So the general consensus is there are gases.
Like I just looked. The Earth is 93. I just looked this part up. Now I know I didn't have to look this up. The Earth is how far from the sun? Do you know how far we are from the sun? Common knowledge.
I'm uncertain. 1 AU?
1 AU. All right, but what are you watching Star Trek?
Yeah.
I know. No. AU is an astronomical term to describe how far the Earth is from the sun. The Earth is 93 million miles from the sun, okay? Which I didn't have to look that up. I knew that. We're 93 million miles from the sun. AU is a measurement, and it is the distance that the sun is from Earth, 93 million miles. So that's okay. That's what an AU is.
Your hat betrays your intelligence.
I went to college. I went to college. Okay, I'm educated. But anyway, I had to look this up because I didn't know. But the Earth is and you didn't even know what an AU was. You just the Earth is 93 million miles from the sun. Do you know how Venus, this is what I had to look up, is 24 million miles from the sun. So, so to talk about the temperature on Venus that's 24 million miles from the sun and a planet that's 93 million, it's just stupid. You're making yourself look foolish. Why don't you just admit you got me? Just say you got me, Brian. I don't know what I'm talking about. I have all these crazy liberal ideas that I've been brainwashed with, and you got me.
No. Look. Climate change and holes in the ozone layer, these are not liberal ideas. These are things that are...
They're liberal, what they are... No, they're not. They're liberal urban legends is what they are. Liberal urban legends. They're fairy tales. Liberal urban legends.
Look, science doesn't care about politics.
Science doesn't care? Where are you calling me from, California or Canada?
California, San Francisco, the Bay.
San Francisco. Oh, okay.
But look. All I'm saying is that it's. I don't think it's a debate about liberal this or that. I just think that the science. Look, the science is pretty clear. There are gases that we can put into the atmosphere that will.
All right, listen. Come on, give me a break. I have gone through several things that I'm right about, and you're still going back to this San Francisco liberalism. Liberals lie to people like you. It's not that you're not a stupid person, okay? You've just been brainwashed with a lot of things that aren't factual.
And look. I am uncertain about the climate change myself. I haven't,
you're being red-pilled.
From the experts. But from the experts, I listen to, and from the things I know, we kind of have to.
Let me ask you: Are you into girls?
Who wants to know?
So you're gay. You're gay.
This is. I did not call up a 900.
No. You're gay. I'm not. Believe me. What I'm not.
Let's not go there.
So no. Hold on a second here. No. Hold on a second. It's okay. Nobody cares.
Are you coming on to me? No. Are you coming on to me?
Absolutely not.
It's okay if you are.
No, it's no. It's.
I'm open. I'm.
So you're gay.
One of those liberal guys.
Okay. So you're gay.
Whoa! Back this up. Let's keep it professional.
This is professional. I am straight and married, and I have a daughter. It's okay.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
But it's okay to be gay. President Trump's Treasury Secretary is gay. Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, is gay. He's the highest-ranking openly gay man ever. He's the highest-ranking openly gay cabinet secretary in history. Scott Bessent, Trump's Treasury Secretary.
As far as science goes, one thing you said about the hole in the ozone layer, we were putting chemicals. No.
Hold on. There was a reason why I asked if you're gay. I'm not making fun or giving you a hard time. Because I have no problem with gay people.
Let's role play.
No.
Pansexual. I'm open to anything. Hey.
I call that trisexual.
What are you getting at?
Trisexual. That means you'll try it with anybody. It's trisexual. Try it out with anybody. No, the reason I asked is because you're a liberal gay man from San Francisco, and you've only been. Liberals think that they're worldly people, but you're not. You haven't had any diversity of thought, and you've only been exposed.
From Fort Myers.
Fort Myers, Florida.
I went to university. I don't want to give out too much of my information. I'm trying to keep it anonymous. I went to university.
Tell me, okay, what is the most famous? What's the most famous historical site in Fort Myers, Florida? I'll test your knowledge. I know. It's a certain house. Hint. It involves light bulbs. Are you really from Fort Myers?
No. I just moved from Fort Myers recently.
Where in Florida is Fort Myers?
It's just south of Tampa.
Really? How I'm in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, right? How would I get to Fort Myers?
You have two options. You can take I-75 west.
Okay.
Or you can hop down to the Tamiami Trail.
Okay. You're. Well, I think I would rather not take the Tamiami Trail. That road is from the 1920s. There's another road that goes across the state. It's the famous one. The famous road.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, that's it. It's Highway 41. Is it 42?
It has alley in the name. Something alley.
Alligator Alley.
Okay. So you're from Florida. You're from. Yeah, but you didn't know the name. No, I'm in Florida.
You don't know anything.
And the historical site in Fort Myers is the Thomas Edison House. I understand that, but the Thomas Edison House.
Now you're trying to save.
No, in fact, you take I-75, which is also known as the Sawgrass Expressway, to Alligator Alley or the Tamiami Trail. So you're from Florida. Okay, you're from Florida originally. Well,
no. I was born in San Francisco.
You're born in San Francisco.
I went to university out there.
Oh, you went to university. What university is in Fort Myers?
No, I went to University of Tampa.
Okay, that's close. Okay, so here's the thing. You have not been exposed to a diversity of thought. You went from San Francisco to Fort Myers, Florida, but you went to college, which is a liberal place, right? You don't have diversity of thought. You've never been exposed to conservative thinking, and everything that you believe, that you've called me about today, is untrue. And I've shot every point down without effort. And listen.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, so continue to listen to the program, not just today, but every day. And you're gonna be red-pilled MAGA. You're gonna be San Francisco. I do a MAGA cruise every year. I've got a group of people that are MAGA from San Francisco that fly to Florida and go on the MAGA cruise every year. You know, you're going to get red pilled.
I am definitely open, and I would hate to be wrong online, you know. So, you know, there may be some truth. Maybe I need to have a more cosmopolitan view.
That's correct.
And,
You did, yeah,
more,
yes.
You know, some
correct.
right-wing literature.
Well, I don't know about that. You could just
on one thing before I go. Can we agree on one thing?
Sure.
So, do you like dogs?
Who doesn't? I love dogs.
I love dogs too, man. Look.
All right. Hey, I'm going to run. We're going down. Oh, my goodness. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Morning, Brian. This is Dave in Laurel Palm.
Oh, hey, Dave. What's up? See, now, by the way, that before you go in, that questioning, he was implying that he was Floridian. He's not, right? He went to the University of South Florida in Tampa. So he's not, and you know. But anyway.
No, not at all. But what I was going to say is there's one...
Oh, hold on one moment here. My phones are ringing off the hook, so let me answer these phones. All right, yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry. Dave.
There's one physical fact that these people forget, and it was proven by the mid-'60s, and it was understood by the late 1800s. The only thing that can stay in the atmosphere, it has to have a mass and atomic weight between nitrogen and oxygen.
Please don't start with that all that stuff, because that's no. We got a good show going. You're gonna drive the audience away.
No, I'm not. I'm just that one little thing. The thing is nothing exists that size. You would have to have a particle or an atom between that.
All right. Hey, Dave, I got to move on. Okay, I don't want to. We got a hot show going. I don't want to start talking about chemistry. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Brother Brian. Good morning. IB.
Hey, IB. What's up?
You know, every time you talk about that story where the boys are, it reminds me of the 100th anniversary of the Fort Lauderdale and Broward area, 100.
Well,
that stage there for the concert.
That movie Where the Boys Are it's a scientific document. It's an artifact of science, and it shows you that the beach and the road, A1A, were in the same place, and they even go to a bar that I go to often, the Elbow Room. That all of that is in the same place today, as is the ocean, as it was 66 years ago. Maybe I'll do an updated YouTube video on that and show people.
Brian, okay, hold on. I sit on that wall there. I used to go to the Elbow Room. My point, and they have the plaque there on Black Losing a Lot at one point, whatever. The point, I was just making a joke. Every time we make a story, I think about flipping off the stage at the 100th anniversary. They had that stage for the concert, and I was acting the fool, and I slid myself right off the stage, and I hit, you know, they have those barricades, those metal barricades, and I slipped right into it. I couldn't stop laughing for 10. I was laughing more than the people should be laughing at me. I was laughing at myself. It was funny. But it just goes to show, according to AOC, according to Ocasio-Cortez, we should not be living in 4 to 5 years because climate change is going to flood us and what have you.
Correct.
Blah, blah, blah. So that's why I'm saying, it reminds me of the story of me falling off the stage. It was a funny day. We're having
all right, IB. Hey, listen, IB, I appreciate the call. You take care. All right. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
John from Ohio.
John from where?
Ohio.
John from Ohio. All right. What's up, John from Ohio?
Yes, I was just listening to your caller a few minutes ago and you talk about methane. So Canada's drilling for it. I seen it like 3 o'clock this morning, and I believe it's a Ferrari company that said these.
Mm-hmm. Is there any smoke where you're at in Ohio from Canada coming down?
No, but I haven't seen them yet.
Not yet?
I haven't seen anything what happened. I'm in the southern part of Ohio.
Oh, okay. Northern Ohio's got some smoke in it. I've been reading some. The Cleveland area.
From Cleveland.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, guarantee it.
Yep.
And that's a mess, man. Canada's just a mess. Something's got to happen with that country. It's saved up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I seen that this morning. I thought that, they're talking about cows and stuff, and they're drilling it, releasing it in the atmosphere.
Well, that last caller. Hey, listen, I appreciate the call from Ohio. The young man that called from San Francisco. He was born and raised in San Francisco. He leaves San Francisco to go to a liberal college, and then he goes back to San Francisco. Liberals, most everything that liberals believe is not true, right? And it's just the way it is. But liberalism is presented in a way as if it's science, and it's not. It's all made up. Now, I wanted to share this with you. This is one of the saddest people in America, Michelle Obama. Listen to Michelle Obama. Oh my goodness.
Yes, because I was black, because I was the first, because there were opponents on both sides. It wasn't just Republicans, it was some of my husband's Democratic opponents who were, who were going to play the race card and use our otherness against us.
Please.
So, and we've talked about this, that I have to show up authentically me, because if I'm going to get dinged, it's going to be dinged. I'm going to get dinged. It's going to be the real me that's going to get dinged. It's going to be the clothes I chose to wear, not somebody else's clothes. The words I said and not what somebody put in my mouth. Is going to be America understanding me. Like me, don't like me, but don't like the made-up version of me.
Okay. Michelle Obama is sadder than Mrs. Clinton. All she is a historical figure. She will go down as one of the most famous women in the history of the United States because she is the first black first lady. And not only is her husband the first black president, Barack Obama was the first black leader of a major nation. And both of them are historical figures just because of that. They're worth many millions of dollars. They've got fame, historical status. She'll be remembered for the rest of the time that the United States exists. And all she does are podcast interviews griping about how bad she's got it. And for the life of me, I don't know why she is so miserable. She's got fame and fortune, historical relevancy she will be remembered more. She will be remembered more than any first lady in history. Maybe Martha Washington, people will know the name, but Michelle Obama will be known even more than her because she's the first black first lady. Forever, hundreds of years, people are going to talk about her and know her, and she's so miserable. And for the life of me, I don't get it. I don't understand it, and it just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. She's it's really sad, to put it bluntly, and it really is sad to me. It really, don't you think? Isn't she sad? I mean, to have so much and to be so miserable is just, something else. Now, I wanted to share this with you guys. This woman is the greatest up-and-coming conservative investigative journalist this country has. Her name's Sarah Gonzalez. I just heard of her for the first time the other day. She does some work with The Blaze, but she's kind of independent. And here she is with this rhino fake Republican, Tom Tillis, the other day, he's a Republican rhino. Republican in name only. You know what rhinos really are? Democrats. And he's been working with John Thune to stop the Save America Act.
Senator, you received almost $700,000 from the illegal labor lobby. Is that why you voted against the Save America Act? Yes, it's contractors, general contractors, hospitality companies, industries, construction companies and industries.
See, what this jerk's doing, this fake Republican, he knows that soon he's going to get to his elevators, that you have to be a member of Congress to step past that area. So what he's trying to do is run out the clock until he gets to the elevators. And so he's just not answering her questions, but asking her questions because he knows he's being recorded. She just cleaned his clock. Now, there's going to be a little more of an exchange, and then she does kind of a summary of it. Sarah Gonzalez, she's on X, find her. She's very good. Her analysis is brilliant of this exchange. Exactly. She got him good, didn't she? Now, if you're new to my program, welcome. My name's Brian Craig. This is where MAGA comes to talk, but all viewpoints are welcome, as you can hear on the phone calls. I am live every morning of the week, weekdays and weekends, and always taking live calls. You'll catch me most afternoons during the week as well. So those of you that are new, welcome to the program and subscribe. You'll enjoy the content here, I promise you. And everyone, please do me the favor of liking the video. When you like the video, you get the video recommended to people who have not yet found me on YouTube. So please like the video. That helps a lot. And if you're listening on one of the audio podcast platforms, please subscribe and follow. It's always free to do on whatever platform you're listening on. That has the same effect as liking the program on YouTube. All right, guys. My name is Brian Craig. This is where MAGA comes to talk. Thanks for joining. I will see you and talk with you